Jai Ho, my dear students. I am Ratnakar Suryamshi from SK Public School. See, since the last class, actually, right? Since the last class, we are learning about the second chapter in history section of class 10, that is nationalism in India. So, in the previous chapter, I mean the rise of nationalism in India, we have learned about Europe, how the nationalism arose, what were the consequences of nationalism. So, and in the nationalism in India, we have already started and we have completed the introductory part, right? Even we learned about after 1919, the struggle, I mean the national struggle was moved or spreaded to the various cities of India, to the new cities. And during this time only, what all the things happen in India I told you, and a new method of agitation, new mode of fighting or struggle against the British was suggested by a newly arrived person in India. That person was the Mahatma Gandhi, and the new mode of agitation was Satyagraha. About all these things we have learnt, and we have started the first concept in the nationalism in India. Then which is that? Correct, no? So the first concept, as we have started, that the first world war, Khilafat and non-cooperation movement. First world war duration, you know that 1914 to 1918. This is the duration of first world war. Then Khilafat movement and non-cooperation movement. So about these we have started to learn since the last class. As I told you, after 1919, the nationalist movement or the national movement of India spread to the new area. Same, what all the things happen I told you. Then what happened between 1913 and 1918? Correct, no? People faced the hardship, extreme hardship, because of the economic setback of the people. Why? Because after the first world war, as I told you, new economic and social situation was created, especially political and economic situation. New situation was created. Why? After the first world war, almost all the European countries began to increase in expenditure for or to strengthen their defense. Correct, no? So because of that, and this was all expenditure was done to strengthen the defense was done through the loan, Sala we call. Correct, no? So to fulfill or to fill that or to repay that loan, now the government in India, I mean the British government in India, increased tax, duties, customs duties were also increased. New system was introduced. That new system was income tax. Income tax was introduced, and prices of the food grains were increased between 1913 and 1918, and this led to the economic hardship of the people in the rural areas, especially the common people, and villages were called upon by the British to supply the soldiers, correct, no, to the army. And for this, British have done the forced conscription, forced recruitment in the army by the villages. This led or caused widespread anger against the British rule. Forcefully they appointed the Indians into their army, forcefully. This created the angriness against the British rule in India. Then 1918 and 1919 and 1920 and 21. What happened? See, there was a, what happened on the, during these years, crops were failed in many parts of India, and the prices of the food grains were suddenly increased because of the shortage of the production of food grains in India. And this was accompanied, I mean at this time there was another disaster came in India, arose in India. That was influenza epidemic. So because of these two, what happened? See, according to the census of 1921, almost 12 to 13 million people of India have been died because of epidemic and because of this famine, lack of food. And at this time, a new leader appeared and suggested. At this time, a new leader came to India and suggested a new method of struggle, new method of fighting. And about him we will start learning today, and that too with the topic, the idea of Satyagraha. See, now we will learn Gandhiji. You know that the new man appeared in India, that was Gandhiji, and the new method was Satyagraha, right? So now we will learn the meaning of Satyagraha, mainly see the idea of Satyagraha. Then what is the short meaning? One simple meaning of Satyagraha is a novel method of mass agitation. What? A novel method of mass agitation. This is the simple definition to the Satyagraha, that is a novel method or a way of mass Satyagraha or mass agitation. Agitation we call movement, fight. So a novel method of mass agitation is simply called as the Satyagraha. This is the common meaning of Satyagraha. See, you know that already Mahatma Gandhi returned to India in 1915 from South Africa. Mahatma Gandhi returned to India when? In 1915 from South Africa. Correct? So after this, say in South Africa, what he did before coming to India? See, he successfully fought against the racist policy. He successfully fought against the racist policy followed in South Africa against the black people, against the Negroes. Then which method used by Gandhiji there? He used the same Satyagraha, mass agitation. The novel method of mass agitation called Satyagraha was used as a method of agitation against the racist policy. This was also called as apartheid policy. Now racist or apartheid policy means what? Discriminating the people on the basis of the color of skin or the color complexion. Discriminating the people on the basis of the skin color is called as apartheid or racist policy. So against this, Gandhi fought in South Africa and got victory, got huge popularity, fame in South Africa. And through that, what happened? See, there he got, what happened? I told you, there he got success, and that was called as a Satyagraha. Because of the Satyagraha only Gandhi got a success. And the idea of Satyagraha, what happened? See, the idea of Satyagraha. Then what is the main idea of Satyagraha? See, the idea of Satyagraha is finding the truth. Agitating, I mean demanding for the truth. Demanding, I am telling. Demanding for what? For the truth and the need to search for truth. See, once again I would like to tell, the idea of Satyagraha emphasized, it gave more stress on the power of truth. On the power of truth and the need to search for truth. The need to search for truth. What was the need? And what was the power of the truth? That was appeared through the Satyagraha. Satyagraha was dependent on this only. And it suggested that if the cause was true, if the reason was true, and if the struggle was against the injustice, if the fight was against the injustice, then physical force was not necessary. If the reason was true and if the fight was, or if the struggle was against the injustice, then there was no need of physical strength, there was no need of physical force or power to fight the oppressor. Without seeking vengeance or being aggressive, a Satyagrahi could win the battle through non-violence. Without seeking vengeance, I mean without thinking about the revenge, without seeking the revenge or being aggressive, without being aggressive, a Satyagrahi or a person who move on Satyagraha could win the battle without violence. Without violence it was. And this could be done by appealing the conscience of the oppressor. But how do we get the justice? By appealing to the conscience, to the heart, to the soul of an oppressor, the person who is torturing or a person who is in the favor of injustice. So people, including the oppressors, has to be persuaded to see the truth instead of being forced to accept truth through the use of violence. Both the people, oppressor as well as the common people, should accept the truth through the use of, without the use of what? Without the use of violence. They have to accept. And by this struggle, I mean by the Satyagraha, truth was bound to ultimately triumph. I mean, ultimately through the Satyagraha, what wins? Truth wins always through the Satyagraha. Truth wins always the Satyagraha. This was the thought of Satyagraha by Gandhiji. Mahatma Gandhi believed that this dharma of non-violence could unite all Indians. Mahatma Gandhi believed that the dharma of non-violence, the dharma of ahimsa, would unite the Indians, could unite the Indians, could bring unity among the Indians. In this way, Mahatma Gandhi thought. After arriving in India, when Gandhi came to India, Mahatma Gandhi successfully organized Satyagraha movements in various parts of India. In various places of India, Mahatma Gandhi arranged or organized various Satyagrahas after returning to India from South Africa in 1915. See, important point here. Gandhi came to India in 1915, then on the advice of his political guru, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, G.K. Gokhale we call, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Gandhi toured India. I mean, Gandhi went on tour to see the various parts of India, to see the situation of the people of India under the British rule, under the colonialism, under the colonial rule. Then after observing this all, after experiencing this all, Gandhi arose as a leader of the national movement of India, emerged as a national leader of India, Gandhiji. Then see, after arriving to India, Gandhi organized various successful movements or Satyagraha movements in various places, various parts of India. First, in 1916. First say in 1916, that was Champaran Movement. Champaran Movement in 1916. By whom? By Mahatma Gandhi in Bihar. Champaran, it is a forest. Champa, it is one forest. Aran means it is a forest. Champa forest is there in Bihar. So in that, people went on Satyagraha. People started a movement. This was led by Gandhiji. See what happened in 1916. Gandhiji traveled to Champaran in Bihar to inspire the peasants to struggle against the oppressive plantation system. Against what? Against the oppressive plantation system. What happens? Say important point. Say Champaran, it is a forested area mainly. Say Champaran, I would like to repeat the spelling as there is a mistake in this PPT. Champaran, Champaran, Champaran. See, Gandhi toured to the Champaran to support the peasants to start struggle against the oppressive plantation system. Which plantation? Indigo plantation it is. I mean, indigo was grown in Champaran forest also by the peasants in the Bihar, especially in Champaran forested area. But because of growing indigo, people experienced huge loss. Even the fertility of the soil also lost. People were unable to grow the food crops. Because of that, they started a movement that was called a Champaran Movement. This was supported by whom? Mahatma Gandhi. And this Champaran Movement was held in Bihar. When? In 1916. Against the oppressive plantation system. Which plantation? Indigo plantation system. Then after this, in 1917, Kheda Movement was led by Gandhi ji. Kheda, it is a place in Gujarat. See that it is a district actually in Gujarat, Kheda. See that in 1917, Gandhi ji organized a Satyagraha to support the peasants of Kheda district of Gujarat. Why? Because see here, peasants were affected by the failure of crop and plague epidemic, and the peasants of Kheda could not pay revenue, and they were demanding that the revenue collection be relaxed. Why in Kheda peasants had started a movement in 1916? Because crops were failed, plague epidemic, plague disease arose, and because of these both, people were affected. And because of this, what happened? In Kheda, peasants wanted the relaxation in the payment of tax, in the revenue, paying of revenue to the company, to the English East India Company. They wanted concession, relaxation they wanted. So because of that, they had started a movement, Kheda Movement. This was led by whom? Supported by whom? Mahatma Gandhi ji in 1917. After this, in 1918, when in 1918, see, cotton mill workers movement was started in Ahmedabad, and that was also led by Mahatma Gandhi ji. See, in 1918, Mahatma Gandhi went to Ahmedabad to organize a Satyagraha movement amongst the cotton mill workers, amongst the cotton mill workers. So these were the three important movements initially headed by Mahatma Gandhi ji in India. Right? Then, see, Champaran Movement, if we say, see, Champaran Movement with Gandhi ji, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was also involved in the Champaran Movement in 1916. And Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel grew as a national leader because of Champaran Movement of 1916, which was held in Bihar. Then, see, now we will come to the main point. See, here about the Rowlatt Act. Now we have to see about what? About the Rowlatt Act. Now we will see about one of the important point also. That is the Rowlatt Act. What happened? Correct, no? So what is the Rowlatt Act? About that also we will learn in this class. Obviously here mainly we learn one important factor. Rowlatt Act, it is an act brought by whom? Brought by the British. It is an act brought by the British in India. So according to the Rowlatt Act, any Indian could be arrested, any Indian's houses can be searched without the prior information, and without the court trial, any Indian could be jailed. This act was brought by the whom? By the British. So about the Rowlatt Act we will learn in the next class. Thank you. Jai Hind.